My name is Nathaniel Lui. About 5 years ago, towards the end of the year, between Christmas and New Year's, I rushed home, eager to take everybody out to eat for supper. You see, we had guests that came in from out of town, and as soon as I walked in the door, my wife met me there, and she said, "Nate, I need to speak to you." And she pulled me into a bedroom, and she said, "You know those 3 lumps I had on my breast? The test results came back, and I have breast cancer." And at that point, my whole life just fell apart. And the first thing I did was I called my friends who were all surgeons and physicians, and I checked with them, and I wanted to have the best of the best: hospitals, surgeons, oncologists, radiation doctors ready to do treatment on my wife. And I could not sleep that night. And I woke up at 5 in the morning, and I came across a Bible verse I never came across before. And it was found in 2 Chronicles. And it spoke about King Asa, who was king of Judah, who had a grievous footsore, and he sought not the Lord, but the physicians. And he died in the next verse, a year and a half later. And I thought, that's what I just did. When my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, I sought the physicians. I did pray, but really I was relying heavily on the physicians. Is the Lord trying to tell me something? I believe he did. And as we prayed, as we searched, my wife and I decided that we need to pray more. Even though we're getting tons of calls from the doctor, quick, you need to hurry up, go get the surgery, you need to get the radiation, you need to get the chemo. But my wife did not feel convicted. And I wanted her to do something, but I realized that if I forced my wife to do what I wanted her to do, and if she did not survive, what would I tell my 4 children? So I realized that my wife had to make a decision by herself through the guidance of God. And that's what I told her. And my wife decided to go, after much study of ministry of healing, counsels on diets and foods, the Bible, to go through natural treatment, to not have surgery, to not have radiation, to not have chemo. As a matter of fact, my wife told me one day when I came home, she said, "I don't want my health insurance because I'm not going to use that. The Lord is going to show me how to be healed, or I will die, and I'm okay with that." And I was shocked. My wife just said basically she was not going to follow conventional medicine, even though our family in the past has always used conventional medicine. But she said, "I believe, Nate, what the Bible teaches. I believe that not only is Jesus our Savior, but he's our healer. And if it is my time, I'm okay with that." And at that time, my youngest was only 2 years old. And I was looking at the possibility of becoming a single father of 4. And so our journey begins. She had all these problems before she was diagnosed with cancer. She was always exhausted. But then she started juicing. And the juicing, after 3 months, she had so much energy. She had horrible eczema, skin rashes, all from head to toe. We saw every dermatologist from New York to California. They couldn't do anything. All they could do is give us an allergy test and give her steroid cream to help with the itch. But she started a raw vegan diet. She started doing steam chairs, cleansing enemas, and in 10 months, her skin was as clear as a baby's skin. She had swollen, arthritic fingers. In the morning, she was like, "Ah!" And she's only in her 40s with arthritis. And she started eliminating sugar from her diet. She started eliminating salt. And after 2.5 years, her arthritis disappeared. And during this time, our children started academy out of state. And we would travel every 2 weeks to go see them because it was very difficult to be separated from them. And during that time, my wife, for 5 months, stopped all her therapies. Now her bump, which was diagnosed as invasive ductal cell carcinoma, was only about 1 centimeter big. But after stopping her therapies, after 3 years, the bump grew into a 7-millimeter bump, larger than the size of a tennis ball, coming out of her chest. And as it was coming out of her chest, the skin of that tumor became thin. And every time she would rub that skin patch, tremendous amounts of blood would come out because the tumors are very, very, very vascular. And she walked around like this for 2 days, sleeping like this, working like this, functioning like this. I said, this is crazy. And I know that my wife did not believe in expensive remedies. She said, when Jesus healed, how much did it cost? It didn't cost much. So I could not use conventional. I could not use natural remedies that were expensive. It had to be natural and affordable and directed by God. And I prayed, dear Lord, I said, dear Lord, please, she cannot continue like this. Show us an inexpensive way to help her. And at that time, I had the impression of a paper bowl, which was right in the drawer, right in the kitchen where I was standing. And I cut out the bottom of that bowl, and she taped it over her bump, holding her clothes away from it. And it took care of that problem without costing much money. And I told her in a joking fashion, I said, when you go out in public, you need to wear the second bowl. As time went on, and the tumor started to come out of her chest, it became severely itchy, so itchy. The itchiness drove her crazy. She's trying different types of herbs. She's trying all these different things, but it wasn't helping. Charcoal, clay, aloe vera, it could not stop the itch. And we got down and started praying 3 times a day. And I was praying, dear Lord, please show her, show us, someone in our family, what to do for the severe itch. And what is causing this itch? And the Lord revealed to us that the tumor was slowly breaking down and the discharge was coming out, and now it's causing the itch. And we were impressed to have her lay out in the sun for 2 hours, facing down, so that she would sweat and that the tumor discharge would drain out, and it did. And in 2 hours, sunshine, fresh air, water, she had no more itch. It was a miracle. It was a prayer answered. And through time, we realized that natural remedies, at this point, we were not familiar with how to take care of this end-stage cancer. A stage 4, stage 3C cancer with swollen lymph nodes underneath her armpit, what to do. And we prayed, again, 3 times a day as a family. And the Lord gave my wife a dream. And in the dream, my wife told me the next morning, and the whole family, a lady came to me in my dream and told me that the current herbalist you're working with, he can't help you. The next herbalist you want to go to, he can't help you. And the lady in the dream said, I can help you. A couple of weeks later, studying James 5, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much, my wife asked a close friend of ours to pray for her. And I felt impressed that after the prayer, ask this gentleman if he knows of anybody that has had breast cancer that has used herbs to successfully treat it. And the gentleman said yes. And we were given the telephone number of a Mr. Ralph. That's all we knew. He was in Wyoming. You see, Mr. Ralph 40 years ago had end-stage cancer, had surgery, radiation, chemo, and it grew back and it was spread all over the place, and he was sent home to die. But he came up with a concoction of natural herbs that God created. And he's been helping people throughout the U.S. So my wife called him the next morning, and a lady answered the phone. And my wife said, "Is Mr. Ralph there?" And the lady said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ralph died 2 months ago at the age of 92, not from cancer." And my wife was distraught. I was told he can help me. And the lady on the phone said, "I'm his daughter. I've been working with him for the past handful of years, and I can help you. And you know my wife, if it costs a lot of money, she will not do it because she does not believe that's from God. I had an Adventist physician tell me, I can heal your wife in my sleep for $45,000. And I said, "Dear, do you want to try it?" And she said, "That's not from God. That's not the way God heals." And so 2 days later, Federal Express package of herbs come in. They never collected a credit card number from my wife. All the lady said 2 days later was, "Send me some money whenever you have some time. This is how much it costs." The lady in the dream was this lady. It did not cost much. What are the chances of that dream being answered coincidentally are? It's impossible. It has to be divine. My wife started on the herbs, and 10 days later, we noticed that the tumor started to break down. How do we know? It was coming out of her chest. It was hard as rock. If you were to touch it, it would be like putting your hands on a granite countertop. And the herbs slowly ate away the tip of that protective hard coat, exposing the middle of the tumor, which made that tumor more vulnerable. And my wife wanted to at first put those herbs on her bump, but we were instructed to eat it. And so she ate the herbs, and it started to destroy this tumor. And we've only been doing this for about a year. Now, the tumor is about maybe a little bit more than a third left. A 7-centimeter tumor started to be eaten away and eaten away and eaten away until the insides are starting to become more hollow. The areas that are having a hard time breaking down is where they did the needle core biopsy. That became fibrous tissue. So that's taking a little bit longer to break down. But we know that God is leading us. In the end, we have learned it's not about whether we should go conventional. It's not about whether we should go natural. We have to depend on God to be our Savior and also our healer. Many of us only look at Him as a Savior. And when we get sick, we run to the physicians. It doesn't matter if the physician has no relationship with God. In the Bible, it teaches that when people were sick, they went to Jesus. But we don't do that today. And as my wife goes through her recovery and functions 100% and jogs and lives a normal life, and as this tumor is breaking down day by day, month by month, we see God's hand in our life. If only we have the trust and the faith to believe what we read in the Bible. The stories in the Bible are there for a purpose. Steve Jobs, the most wealthy man, most influential man, had access to the best of natural and to the best of conventional. He died at the age of 55. My wife is alive because we went beyond what man has to offer. We went to the source. And I pray that those that battle with their health issues to study the Bible, study ministry of healing, study counsels on diets and food, pray 3 times a day with your family for the Lord to guide you in your healing, because His way is not expensive. His way is simple. Thank you.